David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today, I have for you a review of a pen in my personal collection that I've had for years. I've showed it during many of my different reviews, but I've never gotten around to reviewing the pen itself. And that would be what I believe to be the smallest pen Visconti has ever produced, called the Viscontina. It's diminutive. It has a 14-karat gold nib, and it's made from an Arco celluloid, which is a lot of check marks in the positive column for me. It was produced in the very early 2000s, 2001, I believe, and this limited edition pen has long since been sold out and is fairly difficult to obtain. You don't see them pop up on the secondary market that often. There's one up on eBay right now as I'm recording this, but I think they were asking way too much money for it. In the past, I've hesitated to review pens like this, which were no longer available. But the pen I will be sharing with you today will soon be on its way to a new home, so I figured I needed to share it with you while I still had the chance. So what I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this pocket pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. So in order to take a look at this petite offering, please join me over here at camera 2. So I've told this story many times over the years, but when I was kind of in my acquisition phase and picking up lots of different pens, I did come across on eBay this Visconti that I hadn't seen previously. And I thought was just very intrigued by the looks of it. And I ordered it, and when I received it, it showed up in this box here. I'm putting it sideways just so that it could fit in the screen, but this was the pen that was contained inside there. And as you can see, it's rather diminutive. Now, as soon as I received it, I kind of got a little chuckle going, wait a second, was I deceived? Did I not pay attention to what I was purchasing? And I went back up to the eBay listing, and sure enough, they said the exact dimensions of what the pen is, and I just didn't pay attention to it. So that's kind of a lesson to always pay attention to what you're purchasing and not just go by looks alone. But we'll get back to the pen in just a second, but I wanted to kind of show the box that it came in. Inside the box, it came with a necktie. Now, I took a look at this brand. This is Italiano Panicali, and they do still make neckties. They do have some other expensive ones that are up in in the $500 range. So I'm sure that this vintage necktie from early 2000s is practically priceless. And then inside, there was a identification card. There was just a little use and care guide. And then it also came with this scroll that has the warranty information in it. I'm almost afraid to open this up because I don't know if I ever have. It has like a little metal ring on it. Let's see, what does this look like? Goes this side. So there is the warranty information. Looks like it's in both English and Italian. Okay, let's go ahead and set this aside and then zoom in a little bit and we'll take a look at a pen. Okay, this is the Viscontina. First of all, it is made from a nice red Arco celluloid, and you can, you have to hit it just right in the light in order to see those layers, but it is a very nice material. We have over here, we have a rounded top of the cap. The back of the clip just has a little screw there. And then the clip itself, while it has the traditional Visconti arch, it doesn't have the name in there. I think it's just because it is rather diminutive there. Here on the other side, it does have the name of the pen engraved, Viscontina, and you can see this is 65 of 388. This was a limited edition of 388 pens. It almost feels to me like this clip was made of silver, as well as the band here was made of silver. You can see that it's tarnished a bit. I might have polished that up, but I wanted to give the new owner of this pen the opportunity to do that for themselves if they wanted to. I kind of like the way it looks when it patinas. Then we have a very small step down from the cap to the barrel. The cap is straight as well as the barrel, which is just a little bit more narrow, and then it tapers down to kind of a rounded point on the end. The cap twists off with one rotation, and underneath we have a couple of surprising things. First of all, we have a number 5 nib. That this pen almost could have gotten away with having a number 4 nib, but this is a number 5 nib, and it is a 14 karat gold nib as well. This one here is a fine. And that it performs really, really nicely. When I was testing it out for this review, I almost kind of regretted not using this pen more. I don't use a lot of pocket pens, but this one is high quality, and the nib is fantastic on it. And then there's a look at the plastic feed. The section is short. It begins with a very slight flare and then angles up to the cap threads, which are a little bit long, but they're very thin and so not very deep. And so even when your grip rests on them, it's not going to bother you at all. And then there is virtually no step up to the remainder of the barrel. The cap does post a little bit. It's not super secure on the back there, but this pen is long enough to where I really don't feel I have to post it because it comes out enough to where I could end up using this for even longer writing sessions comfortably. This is not a cartridge converter pen. It has what is called a syringe filler. First of all, here on the syringe filler itself, it says press to empty, pull to fill. And one detail that I really thought was nice is that the arcocelluloid is incorporated here into the syringe filler knob as well. And so that's just a nice touch. Now it is inked right now, so I'm not going to go ahead and push on this, but essentially you push it down and then you put this in the ink of your choice, and then you pull, and then it sucks ink in here. And so it's basically it is what's called a syringe filler. I think the weight of this pen is nice. It is small, and so it is fairly light, but it does feel very nice in the hand. And like I said, you'll see here in a little bit, it performs very nicely as well. So I tell you what, right now, let's go ahead and do some size comparisons and some measurements, and then we'll get to that writing sample. So in regard to some size comparisons, first of all, I was going to share it with a number of other Viscontis. This is a Visconti Opera, and this is what's called the Desert Springs material, which was one of my favorite materials that they've used. I have 2 of their pens in that, but I really like it. And then this one is called the Opera Speedboat. And you know what? Actually, this one was interesting because it has a tubular nib on there. See that tubular nib? It didn't perform the greatest in regard to performance with this tubular nib, which is why I don't think you see them anymore on Visconti pens. But I will say it does have a very high cool factor in the overall looks of the pen. And then finally, here is one of my favorite Viscontis, which is the Blue Ripple. This is another pen that is in my personal collection, but I have yet to review, mainly because it just hasn't, it's not available for the most part. And so it's not something I've gotten around to review. Let me know in the notes below if you wanted to see a more detailed look at this Ripple. But that's what it looks like in regard to these other Visconti pens. In regard to some other pocket pens, here we have a Schoen Design Pocket 6. And then we have something I recently reviewed, which is the Benu Pixie. And then finally here is a Kaweco Art Sport. As far as uncapped comparisons, let me go ahead and leave this one uncapped, but these other ones we posted, because for the most part with these other pens, you end up using them posted. But that's with the Art Sport, and there is the Schoen Design Pocket 6. And then here is the Bennu Pixie. So you can see posted. Now, if this was posted, that it would be basically just a little bit longer, almost the same size as the Pocket 6. But like I said, for the most part, I'd say that I would prefer using this pen unposted. So here we go with the writing sample for the Visconti Viscontina. And this is a 14 karat gold fine nib. And the ink that I'm using, I thought was appropriate, is Visconti Red. This is what the ink looks like. And this is what it looks like if you have ink sitting on a cabinet that is close to a window and your dog comes up and barks at the mailman and drools on your ink sample. That's what that's going to look like. And then here it is in comparison to Lamy Crystal Ruby. And then here it is with the Stilo and Stile Roman Centurion Red. So it's a little bit on the darker side. I'd say a little bit less saturated than some of the other reds. These are what the old Visconti bottles look like. I do have a new one, but this is I still have the old one of this, and I do prefer these old ones. I just think that they have a very cool shape. I think it does a really good job of allowing you to get to the ink at the bottom of the bottle, and I just think it has a really cool and unique shape. I kind of like bottles that as soon as I see them, I know what company they come from, and this one is certainly unique. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. Well, I typically don't prefer fine nibs. This one isn't bad. When I say isn't bad, just in my personal preferences, that it does lay, you can get a decent amount of flex there. I railroaded a little bit here at the end, but I don't find it overly scratchy. I do find the ink flow to be, I'd say, on the medium side. And then in regard to reverse writing, it's a little scratchy. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the strength of this pen. And then in regard to some fast writing, you can see we have a little bit of skipping there. And then it caught up and it is fine. Now, I typically don't entertain offers to purchase any pens from my collection. I am constantly having the debate with myself as to the size of my collection and if I should hold on to pens to have, let's call it a reference library to refer to, even if those pens, see little to no use. A few years ago, I did have a sale where I purged about 50 pens. Who knows, maybe down the line I'll do that again. But in regard to this pen, it wasn't something I was really using, and pens need to be used. Pens are happy when they're used, so I felt that this cute little pen needed to be happy. And I hope the new owner enjoys using it. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.